Welcome to another episode of Packcast, the podcast where you don't have to be a Packers fan, but it sure does help. I'm your host, Tom. I don't even need this Bears voodoo doll because they just stabbed themselves in the foot. Grossi! And, They were talking about Russell Wilson. And they got Andy Dalton. Today we're going to talk about, very professionally, the Chicago Bears signing their next Hall of Fame quarterback, Andy Dalton. You could have had Deshaun Watson. Before we get to that, I want to do a big shout and thank you to some brand new patrons and YouTube members. First, on the Patreon side of things, we have Dale Quayle. A big shout out and thank you to you. And on the YouTube side of things with the new memberships, we got Baseball Fan and Tristan Phibbs. A very big shout out and thank you to you all. So yes, it was just announced a short time ago that former Cowboy and former Bengal quarterback Andy Dalton will be signing with the Chicago Bears. Ian Rappaport even went so far to say is their new starter. Oh God, which is, I don't think I have anything left. I don't think I can laugh anymore. No, I can. Signing a 1-year, $10 million deal plus another $3 million in possible incentives. Now, this comes out after a number of things. One, apparently the Chicago Bears aggressively pursued Russell Wilson. However, the Seahawks remained steadfast in saying we are not trading him. So we dodged a bullet on that one. I have to say that I am very, very happy for. Also, reports came out a few days ago that it was most likely going to be Trubisky was going to walk away from the team. They weren't going to re-sign him to a short-term deal, even though, you know, he brought them to the playoffs last year. And plus, that's the MVP you're talking about. I mean, they probably would have had to fork over a lot of money. Now, it's interesting because Nick Foles is still under contract with the Bears through the 2022 season. Now, there is an out after this season, which would still be a decent amount of dead cap, but if they got rid of Nick Foles right now, which I can't imagine that they would, it would be about $10.3 million in dead cap. So yeah, they're gonna have Nick Foles and Andy Dalton competing in camp, I guess. So that should be a fun camp. This comes after the fact of franchise tagging Allen Robinson, who just has to be absolutely thrilled with this news. And listen, that's not all the Bears did. They've been busy in this free agency. They re-signed Mario Edwards, right, to a 3-year deal, and they re-signed their kicker and their punter. So Bears are making some money moves. I can only imagine Andy Dalton looking at that offensive line and just going, is $10 million really worth it? Now, the Bears obviously don't have a very high draft pick, so they're really not in a position to draft a new franchise QB, and this is just going to continue the spinning of the wheels that the Chicago Bears are currently doing. It was said then they brought in Nick Foles, like, oh, you have someone competent back there, watch out. And then we kept watching and nothing really happened. But in all honesty, that defense still should be pretty damn good. It's the offensive side of the ball that doesn't really intimidate me or any other team significantly. So I can't say I'm very optimistic that Andy Dalton is going to tear it up in Chicago, but best of luck to you. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. Totally unrelated note, we are going to start selling Chicago Bears toasters on TomGrossiComedy.com, just in case any Bears fans feel that they could utilize that. We will be streaming tonight, breaking down all of the crazy free agency news. There was just too much to pack into one video, and plus, this deserved its own video. So we'll be going live a little later tonight to break down all of that news, so come and join us. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. You can always find me at TomGrossiComedy.com or at TomGrossiComedy on all social media you see down below. Check out Packcast on SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play Music, Spotify, and of course YouTube. And a big shout and thank you to all the patrons over at patreon.com/TomGrossiComedy and the YouTube members. But thank you so much for watching. I'm Tom Grossi. And as always, go Pack, go.